going on, everybody? Welcome to the RBS Cinema Podcast.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
This is Sparta! I'm thinking I'm back.
Why so serious?
Avengers!
Assemble. I'm Batman.
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
I'll be back.
You shall not pass!
RBS.
Lovely.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome to RBS Cinema. This week's episode, we decided to talk about The Matrix.
The Matrix.
And, hey, don't do that. Hey, stop it. And before we talk about that, I'm your host, Devin. Sam is not here as my co-host, but we got Jack here. So we got Jack. Jack is back. Jack is back. Jack is back. So, with that being said, I'm actually really excited to talk about this movie because it's been years since I've actually watched it. I used to have it on DVD, and I thought about buying the whole collection, but it was like $45, $35 on digital. I was like, can't really afford to do that right now.
For a 26-year-old film?
Yeah.
Well,
for this movie specifically, like the single movie is like $15 on digital.
really?
Yeah. Well,
Why?
especially
I
for
know
me
why,
that I use like Vudu.
Oh, okay.
Well, now dubbed as Fandango at home. So
The people know. The streets know.
yeah. So, otherwise,
Here we are talking about yet another Keanu Reeves movie.
Yes.
Surprise, surprise from Devin.
I know. Well, actually, this is actually not even one of our picks that we did. Which, if you remember Cordell from work,
He wanted to talk about The Matrix.
he wanted to talk about The Matrix. So
Ah,
shout out
okay.
to Cordell if you're watching, and also best wishes to you with your endeavors with everything that recently transpired. But yes, shout out to Cordell. He's the one that picked this movie out for us because
Good
he goes
pick.
like, oh
Good
man,
pick.
you guys should talk about Matrix. So here we are talking about The Matrix, the first
Matrix.
one, which I would probably say at some point we would talk about the other ones, just not in super recent from each other.
You sound absolutely thrilled about that.
Oh boy, they only get better and better.
That's what I keep hearing. That's word for word everything that I keep hearing about the Matrix movies.
It's so
I can't
great.
keep a straight face when I say that.
It's so great. It's a great time. Check them out if you haven't.
Yeah, pay money. Pay money to see those. It's
good time, good But before we talk about the movie specifically, here on the podcast, what we do is that we'll talk about the movie, and then at the end of it, we'll give our consensus on this being a rent, buy, or a skip. Hence the reason why this is called RBS in the first place. And then we will talk about suggestive people, and then that'll be the end of it. So
Before we start, like a quick thing, like did I ever give my consensus on the last movie that you guys reviewed,
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow? Did I ever tell you what I thought about that movie?
No, I forgot that what you told me.
Okay, real brief because I know we got to get through this episode, and that you guys already talked about that one. Simple. That's a movie's a skip for me.
Yeah.
It's just it's a Tim Burton film, I know, but it's just boring, lack of color. I fell asleep almost halfway through that film. So, if you ask me, not really one of Johnny Depp's more exciting films.
No, it's really not. Like, because like we talked about it in the last episode. Okay, goodbye. Where, like it's an early on Johnny Depp movie.
Yeah.
So like it's still like not his breakout role, because his breakout role was actually 21 Jump Street, but the first movie that he was ever in was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
So, but yeah, he wasn't a stranger to acting by any means, because he was already established as it is. So,
Yeah, just so if you ask me, that movie is a skip. Don't really waste your time on it.
Yeah, because for those of you that have watched it, basically my thing was that it was a rent. James, I don't know why James popped into my head, but Sam said that it was a low tier rent. And then, of course, Kat, being it her birthday episode, and it just her movie that she picked was a buy. So, and like I understand and I respect it. So, because like of course, like what you like. So like, don't have us persuade with how we feel about a certain movie or anything like that. Like what you like, enjoy what you're going to enjoy, because ultimately it's your decision at the end of the day. So you can take what other people's opinions do, but don't take it to the letter. Like I've gone to movies that I've heard of where it's all like, oh yeah, this wasn't that great of a movie. It's like, well, I'll still go and watch it, and then it turns out that it was actually a pretty decent movie, or it was like a pretty good movie. So
but anyway, I want to jump into that real quick, but let's actually talk about this film, The Matrix.
Yes, let's talk about a really good movie being The Matrix. So now is the part of the show where we will talk about what the movie is about, as well as like the actors, directors, writers, all that boring stuff. So we got when a beautiful stranger leads computer hacker Neo to a forbidden underworld, he discovers the shocking truth. The life he knows is the elaborate deception of an evil cyber intelligence. Sound familiar? AI?
AI? Wow, it's like this.
It's like they're reading our minds.
It's like I'm back in 1999 again.
Yeah, like it's crazy because like I was watching this with my wife last night because like she has a nostalgia to it because her and her dad watched it and she wasn't supposed to watch it, and for her it was like her dad's favorite movie. And now she can understand why that she hasn't seen it in years, and now she like picked back up on it. And given the fact that this also has similarities to the Bible, which I don't know if you knew about that.
I wasn't thinking Bible.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking I wasn't thinking that when I was watching this movie. But then again, I didn't really do a very in-depth analysis of this film because it's already been done to death, you know.
Right. Oh
like,
yeah, 100%.
So like, there's been countless years of analyses of this film and what it means and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't really bother with that because like anything I could have said has already been said. But like that's the new one. I didn't know that there's like Bible tie-ins. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because like
a Bible reference.
Yeah, it pretty much is because like Neo is supposed to be Jesus.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could say that about any protagonist that's like the chosen one,
right?
You know,
so
it's like oh, he's he's Jesus Christ,
right? But no, like this is literally just like a reference to the Bible itself. So it's crazy.
I mean, that's one interpretation of it.
Yeah,
you want to go for that? That's fine.
Because I don't know if it was supposed to be that or what, but like that's just what people have said. But otherwise, but yeah, like I was watching this and there was a thing where they were talking about artificial intelligence and Keanu goes like AI, and it's all like,
what's AI? He's like, what's AI?
Wow. It's like, no, like in that point in time, it was like early stages of like artificial intelligence.
Like,
and like now that we actually have AI as a whole thing, and now it's just a casual conversation that people will talk about.
Really?
Where it's like, this actually might happen now.
That's
possibly. But it is a reach, but it's all like, this could possibly happen. It's like the Matrix is a possibility of happening to the real world. The Terminator universe is possibly what could happen because now we have robots.
Definitely a lot of crossover between this movie and the plot line of the Terminator.
Right.
So
the only difference being that like artificial intelligence has taken over for both universes, but it's also the thing of where it's like, okay, when you specifically have actual robots that's like wanting to take over the world essentially and like basically just kill everybody. But then you have this movie where you literally have just AI just farming people as batteries.
Yeah.
Like, they're not killing people, they're just
I
harvesting
forgot
them
how
for batteries.
I forgot how gross this film is.
Yeah,
when it comes to that, like, just I think more so of what's happening is that people are looking at this as like, oh, Matrix predicted the future. It's like it really puts in perspective like what people were thinking even back then in the year of our Lord 1999.
Yeah,
because obviously
almost the turn of the century.
Morpheus is referencing a part in this film when humanity perishes as like, oh, all of humanity was gathered in celebration.
Yeah.
And then the world ended. It's like they try to take it into AI,
yeah.
but like he could have been reaching for like Y2K sort of things, maybe, because like I don't know how far back people were worried about Y2K. If I don't know if Y2K was a whole thing back in even like 1998. I would know because I wasn't alive back then.
Yeah, I don't know when Y2K actually initially started.
Because if that's the case,
it was kind of like the Mayan calendar back in 2013.
Oh yeah,
or 2012.
And then the Rapture back in 2011.
Yeah, because then it was all like all of these subsequent like big huge events that were supposed to happen, like obviously never happened. So you've got the thing where it's like, okay, back in 2012, the Mayan calendar ends. That means that everything's gonna like end and disappear and everything. It's like, that's not how time works, okay?
Not really.
Like, that's literally just like a man-made thing to keep track of the years that we're going to be. And like, they didn't think about any time that was ahead of 2012.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you think of like year 1. Okay, what's gonna happen in the next 4 years in year 5? Who knows? And then it's like that whole thing. But you literally have the Mayan calendar of going like, oh man, it's going to end in 2012. But yet, everything still continued. It's kind of like when somebody dies and you think like, oh man, like, I just want the world to stop. It doesn't. It just keeps going. Mm-hmm. Like, the world doesn't stop just because that somebody dies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. As badly as we want that to be true, whether that be family members, people that we're really close to, whatever the fact is, like, and that's just fact. Like, you can't just stop time.
Yeah.
But on a lighter note, you're wearing shades for the movie.
For your audio listeners, I thought it would be very hilarious to wear sunglasses to this episode. So, people who are watching the YouTube video, obviously you can see that I'm wearing my sunglasses, which I don't normally wear inside.
Yeah.
But for people who are listening, yes, because I wanted to be the one guy who was wearing sunglasses as a joke. Because that's having a bit. That's how you know you're cool.
Yeah.
If you wear sunglasses.
Especially in this movie.
Yeah, especially if you're this cool. Like speaking of the sunglasses, real quick, I think Morpheus's sunglasses are so well like visualized because like it's not just he's wearing a pair of sunglasses, but the fact that they actively thought to put reflections in his sunglasses of like when Neo takes the pills for the first time, you can actually see in the left eye he has the red pill, in the left eye he has the blue pill,
and especially where he goes to the red pill, because you see him reach for the red pill. And there's nothing on the blue pill.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
That is a clear visual choice that they decided to do. And it happens again later in the movie where you can see reflections in Morpheus's sunglasses.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like, Nero's sunglasses. It's easily the most recognizable thing about the character of Morpheus is that he wears sunglasses that are super reflective. So.
Yeah. Sorry, my cat's over there doing stuff. I'm just like watching for him. Hey, stop it.
Anyway,
but yeah, which we'll get to here.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I just wanted to point that out real quick. We're going super out of order.
Yeah, no, you're fine. But we'll talk about the people that are associated with this movie, and then we'll actually talk more in depth about the movie itself. So we got directors Lana and Lily Wachowski. So they are trans. So they used to be the Wachowski brothers, and now they're the Wachowski sisters.
I see. So, okay.
Which is great.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So not a lot of people do because they really haven't done very many movies, except for like I think that they did the last Matrix movie,
Yeah, but, like,
Resurrections,
that was-
or maybe one of them did. I don't remember.
That was boggling my mind because I was wondering, like, who directed The Matrix again? Like, I thought it was maybe, like, James Cameron or Steven Spielberg or something like that. Some well-known and, like, name brand, you know, like
top tier.
like a director.
Yeah.
And then I see it was the Wachowski brothers, and, like, they didn't do anything in that they made one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic and reference films
Right.
in the 21st century.
Right. Oh yeah, like, and it's still being talked about now in 2025. Like, literally, like 26 years later, it's still being talked about, and it's still being referenced. It is still being in pop culture.
Like the amount of times that I've seen like Neo's Dodge
Right.
be animated in some other show,
Yeah.
or other movie, stuff like that. Like the amount of Matrix references that just permeate through pop culture even today.
100%. Because like you've got still references of, like, you know, even one of the lines is guns, lots of guns, and literally Keanu Reeves says that in John Wick.
In John Wick,
I think it's chapter 4. And,
oh, really?
He gets asked. Oh no, it's in chapter 3, where he's talking to Winston, and he goes like, "Well, what do you need?" And he goes like, "Guns, lots of guns."
What do you need? Guns. Lots of guns.
he loves being in the Matrix so much.
Yeah.
That's the movie that made him famous.
Oh, 100%. And then he fell off, and now he's back because of John Wick and these other movies that he's been in.
Cyberpunk 2077. You're breathtaking.
That as well. Yeah. You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
But
just a little, like, younger Keanu Reeves back in 1999.
yeah, my wife was talking about it because, like I said, we were watching it together last night, and she goes like, "Why is everybody hot in this movie?"
Everyone is hot in this movie.
Like, she was all like, "No wonder why I wasn't allowed to watch this movie, because everybody was just super fucking hot." And then we got them also writing the movie, so both the Wachowski sisters, they also wrote it as well.
Yeah.
So, which is great when you have
Yet
the
another
director
film that we're
writing
reviewing
the
that
movie.
Some coincidence, another film that writer director.
And coincidentally, this is also the 16th top-rated movie of all time, according to IMDb.
Only 16th, huh?
Yeah,
Not even in the top 10.
no. But, I mean, we'll take them.
Yeah, sure.
So, and then for the cast, not going to go down the list of everybody, but basically just the key people that are in this. So, of course, we got Keanu Reeves himself, the great one, the one, Lawrence
Mr.
Fishburne,
Anderson.
Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Hugo Weaving. We got Gloria Foster, who played as the Oracle. Just wanted to actually say that because not a lot of people know who Gloria Foster is. I didn't know who she was, but she played as the Oracle. Joe Pantoliano, who played as Cypher. Got Marcus Chon, who played as Tank. Julian Arahanga, who played as APOC. Matt Doran, who played as Mouse. Belinda McClory, who played as Switch. Anthony Ray Parker as Dozer. Let's see here. And then we'll finish off with a couple of agents. Paul Godard and Robert Taylor, who played as both the agents. Which, I didn't know this. Paul Godard played as Agent Brown, and Robert Taylor played as Agent Jones. I didn't know that they had names.
Who plays Agent Smith?
That was the Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. Because Hugo Weaving is in The Lord of the Rings.
Yes, and he's also the Red Skull in Captain America.
Oh, yeah. He is. I forgot about that.
So.
But, yeah, he was great in this film.
Yeah.
He's just so unhinged near the end. It's great. I love
right.
this, like baked into a system, and even you're getting tired of the system.
Right.
And you're trying to make your own way out and just, like, go off and do something because you're tired of being a part of a system. It's just like a cyclical
Yeah,
thing.
he
So
goes like,
that I promise that made more sense in my head than what
Yeah.
I just said. That
because like
gobbledygook.
it's great when he's talking to Morpheus and he goes like, do you know what I hate about this place? It's the smell.
It's the smell. If there is such a thing.
It's
The smell is just like something about it, and so like
It's
he
so
like
descriptive.
wipes the sweat, some of the sweat off of Morpheus's head, and like he like puts it up to his nose and pushes his fingers into it.
Like
to,
when he says that, you
emphasize-
can also almost imagine like what human beings like smell like, you know,
Right.
And what like a city that, presumably they're in New York City, right? Like,
yeah, they're in New York.
So like you imagine what New York City like smells like, and he's like, I'm tired of that smell, and you can actually picture it because he's so he like it's such a powerful line, I think, very
Yeah.
imaginative.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then we'll talk about taglines.
Are those the taglines?
There's a lot of
Oh
taglines.
my god. Usually movies like some movies have like two.
I know.
Like 2 or 3. This one, how many is that? Like I'm looking at the
like
screen that Devin's looking at right now. It's
12.
like 12?
Maybe.
I mean,
Just at a glance. So we got free your mind.
oh, free your mind.
In a world of ones and zeros, you are a zero, or the one.
Oh, that's
Or no, it
that's
says
good.
are you a zero or the one?
I actually kind of like that one.
Yeah,
Play on binary.
right.
Ones and zeros.
I think that's actually pretty interesting because it's like Neo is the one, but if you also scramble around the letters, it just says one too. So, be afraid
very
of
subtle.
be afraid of the future, which honestly, who isn't afraid of the future?
That's it.
So,
Yeah, be afraid of the future.
the fight for the future begins because like they have Neo and he's the one. And
You
we're
could
gonna
use that for
fight the
literally any
future.
dystopian like sci-fi film.
Right.
Fight for the future, you know.
Yeah, some of these are just pretty generic. It's like believe the unbelievable. Reality is a thing of the past. It's all like, the hell does that mean? But like, I think this one is actually pretty interesting. Is like, what is the Matrix?
What is it should have been like what is ... the Matrix.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Which they could have had it that way. Says, unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to set it for yourself.
That's just the line that
Yeah,
Morpheus
that's-
says in the movie. It's just
Right.
a line.
Yeah, it's just a line.
No one
It's
can be
not
told.
even.
But although it is good, it is true though.
It is.
I mean, no one can tell you what the Matrix is about. You kind of have to see it for yourself. I mean, at least back then.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a radical idea of like, yeah, there's been dystopian films like The Terminator before, but never one that's like, oh, our future is just like our current reality, but we're stuck here, and we don't know that we're living in a computer world.
Yeah. Which this one is just pretty dumb. It's like perception. Our day in, day out world is real. Reality. That world is a hoax, an elaborate deception spun by all-powerful machines of artificial intelligence that control us.
Yo,
Whoa.
that's not a tagline.
That's not a tagline.
That's a
That's-
tag paragraph. Like,
yeah, it's like that's not a tagline.
how can you even fit that onto a poster?
Right. But I honestly don't even think that's like a tagline. I think that's literally just like a line in the movie. So, but it could be a different spun on one of the lines that Morpheus might tell Neo or something.
I guess, but like,
So,
what
and then
what
this
is
one,
real?
yeah, it's like
How
this,
do you define real?
right? It's all like, is it the air you breathe? Is it touch? Is it feel? The Matrix has you. So, welcome to the real world. Remember, there is no spoon.
There is no. Well, that's crazy. That line must have come from like a re-release of the movie, because
Possibly.
like you can't just put "there is no spoon" on the line on the poster of the Matrix and be like, what does that even mean? That sounds
Yeah.
so dumb out of context.
Yeah. And then the
Even
future,
in context, that like I didn't really quite get that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I it kind of went over my head the first time I watched it.
I
It's
think
like,
that also what some of these do is like in the trailers too,
right,
because like
yeah.
that's also a thing, because like not a lot of people like will actually look at the posters.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe, you know, like you free your mind, or like be afraid of the future, or like what is the Matrix, like those could be on posters. I can see. But
Side tangent. I think some of the best taglines are usually the ones that stay consistent across all forms of media when it comes to trailers and the poster.
Yeah.
Like, if you just have one tagline that really works and you just do it everywhere,
Yeah.
then it becomes a lot more noticeable instead of having a lot of these different taglines.
Right. It's like, what is the Matrix? It's all like, you know what? What is the Matrix?
What is the Matrix?
And then it's
Or
like, that's
like,
playing off of the movie, but also the events that are in the movie specifically.
personally, I really like the in a world of ones and zeros.
Are you the one?
Are you the one?
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite one.
Right.
This list, this exhaustive list.
Got two more. The future will not be user friendly, which that's just dumb. The world's population thinks it's real. On March 31st, they will see the real world. Which I would assume
March
that might
31st
be
is when they
on the trailer.
When they release the film,
Possibly.
maybe.
I would think so, maybe. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get into the movie.
Let's just jump into it.
Let's dive into the Matrix. But what is it?
What is it?
I liked in the beginning when the logos were green and like they have that sort of like sound
Yes.
to them of like them like trying to think of what it's called, waving and stuff. So but otherwise it's like just the first part of the movie is just really great because like you got the whole thing of the telephone, like it starts off with like a telephone call and it's Trinity on the line basically talking about like stuff. I don't remember specifically.
Yeah, it has
but
it
like
has the wavelengths.
yeah, and then it's like going into the Matrix.
Yeah,
because it's all like it types out the Matrix and then you like go through it and then you're like, what's going on? Am I going into the computer program? And the whole scene of Trinity just like getting out of the Matrix where like there's a bunch of cops that are there and then they're all like, oh, like you're under arrest, and then the agents come and then they're all just like, how many men do you have up there? And he goes like, well, there's like two squads up there.
I said 2 squads up there. It's like,
It was
your
like,
men are
that's
all
not
dead.
enough. Yeah, it's like, that's not enough, your men are dead already.
He didn't even say that's not enough. He said your men are dead.
Yeah. And so he goes like, I think we can handle a little girl. And then it's all like, yeah, they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead.
Like,
yeah.
But that whole sequence of her just like doing that, and again another like thing that popularized this whole thing was her jumping up into the air and freeze framing,
Yes,
and then the whole
and
camera spin around.
It spins around. Like that's an iconic shot that has been referenced so much.
Yeah.
Like I think the first time that I saw that shot or a parody of that shot was actually in like Shrek.
Yeah.
Like they used it in Shrek or Shrek 2.
No, they did it in the first one.
Which is crazy because like
when Fiona was fighting the I think it was the guards, if not it was like Robin Hood.
No, it was fighting Robin Hood and his goons.
Yeah.
They made a Matrix like
Men in
reference.
Tights.
Yeah, Men in Tights.
We're men in tights.
Yeah, like they did a Matrix reference of like doing all the kung fu and the slow-mo, and it's just like slow motion is like you could say that like any movie that uses slow motion in that way is a reference to the Matrix, where they just pan around and like it is so cool.
This movie literally revolutionized how action movies are done now. Because of slow motion, the camera work,
a lot of movement.
Like a lot of movement, the way that they choreograph the fights, like pretty much we can thank the Matrix and the Wachowski sisters for doing this whole thing, because of the fact that like, again, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a whole lot of the stuff that we do now. And it's kind of like with James Cameron. If it wasn't for James Cameron, we wouldn't have like Avatar and stuff. And like, not even just Avatar, but like literally, if it wasn't for him making the Terminator and then making Terminator 2, then it's like, we wouldn't be having these great of effects in movies, because he pioneered that stuff. He was just like, I can't make my movie yet because I don't have the technology. Once the technology is here, then I could start working on my movies. So
the other crazy thing about the beginning of this movie is that again, this is the first time that audiences are seeing, they're seeing Trinity, and they're seeing a bunch of like Trinity looks like the bad guy in the front. Like, it's really hard to go back and watch this movie from the beginning when you've already seen it.
Yeah.
But imagine people seeing this for the very first time. It's almost impossible for me, at least, to like imagine what it was like seeing this without context, because like The Matrix has been referenced so much that you already know what it's about before. Like, there's no way that you have no idea what The Matrix is if you're into movies.
Yeah.
Like, if you're an avid movie watcher, there's no way that you haven't heard at least a little bit of what happens in The Matrix, or what The Matrix even is.
Yeah.
So going back to 1999, when people were first watching this film, and you're seeing like one woman take down a bunch of cops and like run on the walls and like jumping across buildings.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is going on? And ultimately, like, we're gonna get to that, but she gets into a telephone booth,
Yeah.
and it gets run over by a truck.
Right.
And
Then
she's
she's
gone.
gone.
And it's like, what just happened?
Right.
Like that is crazy to watch in real time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the movie theater seeing this movie for the first time back
Yeah.
in freaking 1999.
Right. Yeah, because like all of this stuff wasn't even a thing, and then like I mentioned earlier, was like artificial intelligence, AI,
Yeah.
and it's all like
People have no idea what that means. What is
people
that?
have
What is
no
artificial
idea
intelligence?
what AI even is, and then
Like robots and stuff, man.
yeah, and then so like people after this movie came out, people like have conspiracy theories about this real world being the Matrix.
Yeah, you'll hear the colloquialism in modern slang is like, I took the red pill.
Yeah.
I'm free. My mind is open now. I'm awake from this dream.
Right, and it's all like, but
Yeah.
again, it's all like, who are you to be a person that's going to be like, yeah, we'll wake this person up? It's all like,
we gotta wake these people up. Or these sheep, these sleeping people.
wake up, sheeple.
Wake up, sheeple.
So, but it's like that whole thing of it just being like a huge conspiracy theory of go like, what is real? Like, especially where Cypher, he's like talking to Agent Smith about getting back into the Matrix. And he goes like, I don't want to remember anything. And he's like talking about like, I know this steak isn't real, but my mind says that it's real.
And that's good
my
enough for
mind,
me.
Yeah, and my mind is telling me that it's tasty and delicious.
It was
And
a
that's
good looking
enough for me.
steak.
Yeah, and he goes like, do you know what I believe after I woke up? Ignorance is bliss. And that's why he wants to go back into the Matrix, is because that he doesn't want to be a part of the war. He doesn't want to know that this is the real world, like after waking up from the Matrix.
The Wachowskis really did their homework when it comes to like, I feel like they must have done some sort of like sociological like research when it comes to how people think, and when it comes to people.
I think that there's a book that they basically did for like this movie, like before, like there is, or I can't remember if it was before or after the Matrix movie, that there was like a book about like that the real world is or could be theoretically like a simulation. And that like we're trying to find an escape and a way out, and like that's and like deja vu, what deja vu is, and all that bunch of stuff.
The most extreme like reach for me is that this is back on the, like, if we're saying the world is a computer simulation, this is the computers that we had back in 1999 and before.
Yeah.
Like if we assume that this movie took, I don't know what, 2 to 3 years to make, then that's at least back in like 1996 computers.
Yeah.
Which still like were tower computers,
Yeah.
and you had to, like, these bulky computer monitors, sometimes built-in computers, and you had your old, I mean, you literally see Neo's desk.
Yeah.
Like that old, like, sort of ergonomic like keyboard, and just like the old blinking computer monitor with the green text, and it's just like, so we really meant to believe that like we had the processing power back then. As
Right.
someone who's built his own computer nowadays, like within the past like couple years or so, and even before that, like it's just insane to me that they thought back then they could control the entire human race or what was left of it.
Yeah.
Through the processing power of the computers. Well, I mean,
Well-
we'll assume that like it's in the future, right? But
Well,
like,
yeah, because like even Morpheus tells him that like, oh yeah, the world that you knew was 1999, but now we think it's like closer to 2199.
right. But like the
So
fact that
it's-
that AI took over just before like or slightly after 1999, let's say like 2000 2001.
Yeah.
Computers were still.
Well, they
not-
said
it's
that like, so it wasn't because like of all the conversations that they've had, I don't think it was based about Y2K.
I know it wasn't based on Y2K, but like they're still talking about the technology at the time.
Right. No,
right?
like
and it's like
like
if we're
at
just
some
now
point-
starting to get to AI in 20, 23, 24, 25,
Yeah.
right? It's like they were off by just a little bit,
Well,
bit.
I mean, like-
about
like I
quarter
said,
of a century.
back then, like it was developing AI.
Yeah,
Like it was very very early stages of AI, and like
that-
it's crazy to think about that. Literally, with like Google or Apple, it's all like those have been around for like ever, and like early on, I think it was like maybe, early 2000s was like Google was a thing,
yeah.
and so like
But
that's AI.
that's more of that's not an AI. It's more of it's a complicated search engine. That's still just
Well, yeah.
like it's not like it's not AI.
Well, no,
back
but
then at
but
least, like in the early stages of Google.
Yeah.
there's AI now.
well, yeah,
But like it's still just a search engine. It still
Right.
just combs through a bunch of results using like code,
Yeah.
right? But it's not thinking for itself yet.
Right.
I'm just like it's just a little. I think it's fascinating that we were thinking about like robots taking over back in Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, and then Matrix comes out like, okay, now we're in a simulation back then on that type of technology.
yeah.
And it's like, maybe I'm being ignorant, and maybe computers were a little bit more advanced than that. I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. I only know about the Nintendo Wii and the PS3, and then, like, maybe a couple laptops.
I was
I
alive
had
back then,
like
but
my mom's old iMac, okay? Like,
I was alive back then, but I don't remember like because I was an infant in 1999, so or a toddler.
I was
So,
born in 1999, so I was
yeah.
1 year old when this movie
came out.
came out.
Yeah.
So
But moving on to the movie.
yeah, move it. Sorry,
Jack.
Sorry, side
Off on your
tangent.
scientific
I am-
AI tangent. But yeah, I did love when Neo, because the whole thing is that like Neo is trying to find Morpheus,
Yeah.
and who he is and everything, and then on his computer it's all like, oh, follow the white rabbit. It's like, oh, okay, and then you get these guys that come that are like buying software from him, and he goes like, no, like they're like, well, we're gonna go to the club if you want to come, and he goes like, no, I'm all right, and
I gotta go to work.
yeah, I gotta go to work tomorrow, and then so they're like, come on, and so he sees that the woman has a tattoo
Yeah, the
of the
chick
white
turns around,
rabbit.
she has it on her shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it's also they reference Alice in Wonderland a few
Yes.
times, because it's like the white rabbit, and then when he finally meets Neo, he goes like, tell him about the red or the blue pill, of just going like, okay, like you can take the red pill and I'll show you how far the rabbit hole goes
Yeah. You
and
can,
stuff and all that, and then yeah, so he goes to the club, talks to Trinity, and Trinity tells him that like, yeah, like we're gonna get you out basically, like Morpheus is trying to find you, so but you have to be the one that wants to actually get out.
Yeah.
Because then you have him going to work the next morning, and then he gets a cell phone FedExed to him.
He opens he gets a package from FedEx, opens a package, it's a cell phone.
Yeah.
And
then
those blocking
Morpheus,
ones, and
yeah, and then
and immediately calls the phone as he gets in, just like,
well, he doesn't call it; he gets a call.
yeah, he gets a call.
Yeah,
I know, but like Morpheus calls it.
Yeah.
And he picks up, and it's just like, again, it's like, how is that possible? It's almost like he knows exactly where he is.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, like,
this is what an audience member is thinking as they're watching this first part. Just like, it's
But-
so fascinating.
Yeah,
like,
I
just,
did-
just thinking of like what it would have liked to be there to watch this first without any
Actually,
context.
yeah. I think
I think it's interesting.
I think it was hilarious when he's like going through the office, like he's ducked down, and he's just like this, just like moving around and stuff.
Like, seriously, no one's gonna be like yelling out like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
Get out of my
and,
cubicle!"
And then like he gets to a room, and then Morpheus goes like, "Okay, you have one of two decisions to make. You can either one, go out to the scaffolding and go up to the roof, or two, you can go in their custody." And then he's a chicken shit, so he gets in their custody.
Well, would you have gone around that? Like, basically, he has to go out on the on the edges of this
windowsill.
skyscraper, basically. In order to get to the gondola, he has to crawl over this steel beam, which he can't do unless he wraps himself around it with his back to the back of the building.
Yeah.
Like
possible.
It's possible. Would you do it?
Me personally, no.
No,
Because I'm afraid
I
of the
think most
fall.
people would.
I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of the fall. That's it.
Yeah, but like,
so-
I mean, I think that's
but-
most people.
Yeah.
But like,
But yeah. So he goes into the interrogation room, which is like one of my favorite scenes. Because
is a really good scene.
Because then they're interrogating him. They're like, okay, you lead two lives. One is like, a normal person that goes to work, pays your taxes. The other one is when you're in the cyber world and you're Neo, is your online persona. And so he thinks that he's in trouble, but it's like, no, we want your help. And they're like, well, you're going to help us one way or the other, whether you want to or not. And then Agent Smith, I wrote it down too. I thought it was hilarious because Neo just goes like, well, that's a great thing, but how about this? How about I give you the finger, flips him off, and he goes like, huh? He goes like, and you give me my one phone call.
Yeah,
like, it's so
like,
funny. Like,
you can't scare me with this Gestapo crap. I know my rights.
I think I got a better one. How about I give you the finger and you give me my phone call?
yeah,
Which is
that
what
was
you,
hilarious.
which is what you should say
Yeah.
to any police officer who tries to ask
I
you
know
without
my rights.
without
Leave me alone.
not only that, not just say I know my rights. You call for a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want my one phone call. Give it to me.
That's like, well, and then what is the line that Agent Smith says? It's like, how are you going to
I think he says like, how are you going to make a phone call if you can't speak?
you can't speak? And then
And then his mouth basically like not sews up, but it basically just like glues to his face. Essentially, because at
which
first,
is super terrifying.
It is.
to see in like 1999 CGI.
Yeah.
It's like,
And it's like that's really good. And like even when my wife was watching it with me, she goes like, I really wish that we went back to this stuff of it being not CGI and everything, or it noticeably being CGI. And I'm like, right, so practical effects. She goes like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, because like I would rather not have everybody run around on a green screen for 2 hours, because that literally just like kills the mood, because it's like obvious that they're on a green screen.
yeah.
So I'm like, that isn't good. Like,
Yeah.
it's if it's noticeable that your actor's on a green screen, just make stuff.
How am I supposed to believe that this person is actually in danger when it's like an alien planet and like it's crumbling all around, and it's like, wow,
Like,
that looks so realistic.
Because like CGI is meant to be the thing of it being like, okay, we can't physically make this a real thing, like an alien. We can't physically make this into a real thing.
Right.
Like, depending on what idea that you have, because, we have aliens, which is a practical suit that they made. But it's like, okay, you can't run around and just be a giant CGI monster, for one, right? So there's that whole thing. But all of this just to say, we should be going back to practical effects and not relying on CGI to make everything.
But it's so much easier, Devin.
I know.
It's so
and
much
it's also
easier to
less
make
cost
movies
efficient.
like that.
It's also less cost efficient, but it also eats up a lot of money at the same time too. Because if you fuck up, then you have to go back and redo everything, and that takes time and that takes money. So, but yeah, and then they will have the tracker bug go into his belly button, and then he wakes up and then he thinks that it was a dream, but then come to find out that it wasn't actually a dream because Morpheus calls him and goes like, "Hey, get dressed, go down to this to the like the overpass," and Trinity and people pick him up. So they pick him up and then they take him to Morpheus. Morpheus. They take him to the vampire.
We're not talking about this one, that movie just yet.
Yeah. And
Morpheus.
They take him to Morpheus, and then finally they meet face to face, and talking about whatever, basically what the Matrix is and everything. And he goes like, "What is the Matrix?" Well, we don't really know. It's just like, why the hell did you ask that question? And now we get the huge thing of it being like, okay, you take the blue pill or you take the red pill. The blue pill basically will just like
you go back to bed, you wake up, and
that's the red pill, because like you take the blue pill, you wake up in reality, and you actually go into the real world.
No,
the red pill.
Are you sure?
I
think the blue pill is because he takes the red pill. We just watched this movie. How do we?
Well, no, I had it backwards. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's like I literally wrote it down, but I think I confused them when I typed it.
It's
but
the blue pill.
No, you're right.
You wake up back in your bed, and you forget that all this happened. You take the red pill.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Because like, doesn't he say you stay in Wonderland?
Yeah.
You stay in Wonderland if you take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Right.
So.
Because of the fact that it's all like, the Matrix is Wonderland.
People are going to get so mad that we messed up this scene. It's like, how could you not memorize every single line of this iconic scene? It's like...
Because it's been years since I've actually watched it, and I don't really care that much, so...
And I didn't take notes, because Devin takes notes for me, and I just sort of... Go back and forth with what he has to say.
But yeah, so... Just that whole scene is great, because, like, the fact that you have Morbius with his sunglasses, and they're mirrored... And he has both of the pills in his hand.
Yeah, it's such a good shot.
One scene, or one side has the blue pill in hand, the other one has the red pill, and then just the fact that when Neo goes to take the red pill, right before he takes it, he goes like, "Are you sure that you actually want to go down this road?"
Which is a fair warning.
Yeah, and he just like, also with him reaching in that lens, you see him reaching, but you don't see him reaching into the other lens because it's the red pill and the blue pill. And I'm like, that's an awesome effect that they did.
It is. Like,
so I'm like, that's great. Like, that's awesome. I love that. But like, just this whole scene of him meeting Neo, like Morpheus and Neo meeting for the first time, and then you've got him taking the pill, and then it's like them tracking down like where he is in like the real world. Because like the mirror is cracked and it starts forming back into one.
Yeah.
And so now it's no longer cracked. And then he touches it, and now
the
it's
mirror,
like metal. It looks like it's metal or something. And so it just like goes from his fingers all the way up his arm, all the way up to his throat.
And gets in his mouth.
And like, just like the way him screaming is like all digitized.
Is a glitch. Like it sounds like you're glitching. It's so good.
Yeah, like that whole scene is just great. And then the whole thing of where he's waking up in the real world right after that is like also just like a great scene too.
It's so unsettling.
It is, but it's all like,
it's meant to.
My god!
Like the jarring contrast between the two worlds.
Yeah.
And you just wake up like, as someone who hates like injections, I'm not afraid of getting like shots, but like I would hate to get stabbed having because he wakes up and he's in this pod. and he's got a bunch of tubes coming into like his
arms,
the back of his head and his legs, and it's just like,
yeah, and it's like
So gross.
that's how you live, like. And later on, Morpheus tells Neo, like, we're not born, we're like basically just like plants, essentially.
grown from stem cells, basically, or made
Yeah.
artificial humans that
Right.
already have tubes in the inside of them that they can just be fed
Right.
nutrients,
Right.
and then suck out our bioelectricity because
Because that's what
we are now.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what
batteries.
We're batteries.
So, but yeah, that whole scene of Neo waking up, and then he gets on the ship and everything, and then Morpheus has him go into the Matrix again for the first time, and just breaking everything down of him going like, this is the world that you think that you are in. Like, this is the world as it was. This is the world as it is now. And it's like, we don't know who struck first. We don't know if it was them or us. But we tried to control them as much as we could, and we just couldn't. And now humanity as a whole is just like a very small group of individuals that are underground because we torched the sky, because we were thinking that like, oh yeah, they must run on sunlight because of solar rays, and so like we torched the sky, and now we no longer have sunlight. So, and it's all like, well, where are we now? And it's like, well, we're closest to the core because that's where we get our warmth.
Yeah.
So it's all like, damn, this shit hits hard.
It sucks. Yeah.
But then you've got like him, which I really loved, was him freaking out. And he goes like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to believe it. And then he gets into the real world, and then Cypher, he just goes like, he's gonna pop. And then it's like he throws up, and then he like
passes out
and then wakes back up. And then he's talking to Tank, and he goes like, all right, like, I'm gonna get you some training done. And he's about to go back into the Matrix, and Tank is telling him, going like, okay, well, here's all the stuff that they want you to learn. We're not doing that. I'm going to have you do some fun
combat
stuff.
training.
I'm going to have you do some combat training. And so Neo looks at the monitor and says jiu-jitsu. He goes like, I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu? And he goes like, yeah. And then he like pushes it. Yeah, he loads like a floppy disk of some kind into the computer, and then it just downloads into his brain, and he goes like, oh shit. And then Tank goes like, I think he likes it. Like, do you want to do some more? And he goes
yes.
like, hell yeah, let's go. And then it just is this montage of him downloading all different kinds of martial arts,
which is so convenient, by the way.
Yeah,
if I want to learn how to like tap dance, all I have to do in the future is just like download a disc of how to tap dance, and I'm good.
Yeah,
and it's used later in the movie when they're in the Matrix and Trinity needs to learn there's a helicopter.
Yeah, there's a helicopter.
Like, Tank, I need to learn this so and so model of.
I think it's a BB-12 attack helicopter or something like
helicopter, and then just she knows it immediately.
Yeah.
So
it's all like she downloads it in like a few seconds. It's like, okay, I can fly it now.
It's like, this is what the future is gonna be like.
Yeah, it's like that's basically what Cyberpunk is essentially doing. It's like, okay, like I get cybernetics, and it's all like I can wire my brain differently at will. So
it's the same sense of wonder that I got when I saw Spy Kids for the first time, and there's that one scene in Spy Kids where they put like a pack into a microwave, and it becomes a McDonald's meal, and it's like that's
cool. What I want. That's the technology that I want now.
I also like wanted like my bed to be a slide,
right?
Or
it's also like the thing from Back to the Future Part 2 where Marty is in the future, and they essentially the same thing. They put in a thing, and then it's all like rehydrate, and then all of a sudden now they got a pizza,
right?
So it's all like
that's cool. Why are we fucking on this AI shit?
Yeah,
give me McDonald's that I can just pop into my microwave, and then
it's there.
I get fresh McDonald's.
Right. Don't have to wait in line. Don't have to go anywhere. It's just like, okay, here you go.
And while we're at it, let me upload some kung
martial
fu
arts
into my brain.
Yeah.
That's the future I want.
Right.
Personally.
And then of course right after that he wakes up and he looks at Morpheus. He goes like, I know Kung Fu. And then he just bends over and goes like, show me.
Show me.
And then all of a sudden they're in a dojo. And I'm like, like this is so cool.
And very cool.
And then you've got where they're fighting each other. And
both Morpheus and Neo are doing different fighting stances.
Yeah, they keep constantly changing their
cause
stances and fighting techniques.
Mastered all techniques of Kung Fu
right.
because they're just on discs.
And this whole thing is just to have Neo open his mind.
Yeah.
Instead of him having limitations, because that's what he's doing. And because that's all he's ever known is like, I have limits. But Morpheus is telling him, you don't have any limits. You're in a computer simulation.
It's like,
this isn't real. And especially where it's
you can
like
do whatever you want
the whole time, because he goes like, yeah, you know, like we still have things that will affect us just like in the real world, like gravity. We can't just instantaneously fly, like anybody else could. But then it's like, you still have these capabilities of like, you still feel pain, you still like have feelings and all this bunch of stuff. It's like, this stuff doesn't just go away because you're in a computer simulation. All of this stuff is still real, but you don't have to breathe the air because it's not real. Like, you don't have limitations when you're in the Matrix.
You can be going faster.
Yeah, and so like the whole time Morpheus is just telling Neo like, stop trying to hit me and just hit me.
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
And
your muscle, you think your muscles, like how strong you are, how fast
right,
you are,
because
matters
like
in this simulation.
because like
it's all in your mind.
Yeah, because like one of the things is like Neo runs up against a beam, jumps over Morpheus, and then Morpheus is just watching him jump around him, and then he just like hits him, and he flies through, and then he just goes like, "How did I beat you?" And he's just like, "'Cause you're faster and stronger." And he just goes like, do you think that my ability to be stronger or my muscles determine how I'm faster or stronger than you?
I like how he phrases that question.
Yeah, and then he also says like, do you think that's air you're breathing? And he just goes like, huh, and just walks away. And then he's just like, again,
You think that's air you're breathing now?
and that whole sequence of him actually now understanding, of going like, oh, this isn't air that I'm breathing. And then he finally is like starting to get it and everything. And then he finally actually hits Morpheus for the first time. And then he backs up before he's actually about to hit him. And then he goes like, I know what you're trying to do, and it's not going to work. And it's all like, what do you mean? He's trying to unlock your inability to actually be faster.
He doesn't want to be unlocked, man.
But it's because of the fact that he just goes like, I know what you're trying to do. Like, he's basically telling Neo or Morpheus, he goes like, I'm not the one. All right. But yet everybody can see that he's starting to actually become the one.
Yeah.
Because then they run the jump simulation of him jumping from one building to the other. And then Morpheus is just telling him like, free your mind.
I love the first time I ever saw that scene was actually in a meme edit where Morpheus is like, free your mind, then he jumps across and it cuts to someone falling off the building.
Right.
Free your mind.
Which the whole, I don't know if you saw this clip, but like somebody edited the dojo scene where it's like they're farting the whole time.
Oh.
It's hilarious. And like I'll cut to a clip of it too, because it's super hilarious, because like when Morpheus bends down and go like, do you think that's air you're breathing?
Oh my goodness.
And then he farts.
You think that's air you're breathing now?
It's so funny.
That is great.
And then but yeah, so then he tries to do the jump and then he just instantly falls.
Yeah.
And everybody just goes like, Mouse is the only, not the only skeptical one, but he goes like, okay, like everybody's saying like everybody falls the first time. Nobody ever gets it on the first try. And Mouse just goes like, but what if he does? What if he does get it the first time? And it's like, oh man, like what if he does? And then he jumps and then he falls. And so everybody's like, yeah, that's what
happens.
Because then later on, he's talking to Cypher in the real world, what Cypher's doing stuff on the computer, and he's just like, being nefarious in the Matrix, and he is telling him that, like, not everybody makes it on the first try, and he's like, well, I'm just some guy, so it doesn't really matter, because he was telling that to Trinity. Later on in the movie, he just goes like, I'm not the one, I'm not the guy, like, I'm just another
You're not
guy.
that guy, pal. Trust me.
Yeah.
You're not that guy.
You're not that guy. And
You are? Absolutely.
right. I am the one. And also later on in the movie where there's the raid that happens, because like I mentioned earlier in the movie, Cypher's meeting with Agent Smith to basically get him back into the Matrix, to get him hooked back up to a machine to where he can become a battery again.
I don't want
Because
to
he
know
doesn't-
about the real world anymore. I want to go back to the dream world.
Yeah. So
I want to
there's
be
that whole
rich.
thing. So now they both have a plan to where it's like, okay, since Cypher's in the real world, he'll kill all of them. He will get Morpheus to Agent Smith so that he can download these codes in order to, like, shut down their operations and stuff.
He actually does define the last human settlement.
Yeah.
Kill them and be like, yes, finally I can stop being a goat herder for these
Yeah.
smelly humans. They stink.
Right.
They're so smelly.
Yeah. And but yeah, just like the huge raid is like when they're in the giant house or like apartment.
Yeah.
And because like that's their base of operations in the Matrix, is an
Yeah.
abandoned apartment building, and they are talking about like, oh, like, we got to go see the Oracle. So then they go see the Oracle. She tells Neo that, like, okay, only you can determine your path. It's not set, right? But she can tell him, like, okay, like, there'll be a point to where it's like you have your life and Morpheus's life in your hands. You have to pick. And then turns out it wasn't actually that. He just, like, ended up saving Morpheus, so nobody died. So it's all like he basically just saved everybody. But when they go back to the apartment and they're walking back up the stairs, Neo looks over at a doorway, and then, like, there's a black cat. And then they're going to just a couple more steps, and then there's the same black cat again. And then he goes like, whoa, deja vu. And everybody just turns around and goes like, what did you just say? And he goes like, oh yeah, I just had a case of deja vu.
Deja vu. It's like,
And Trinity walks up and goes like, it's kind of like
what
freaking
happened?
Dumbledore going like, Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? She goes like, what do you mean? Like, was it the same cat? Are you sure? And so he goes like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And so they're all like, there's a glitch in the Matrix. And so after that point, and after this movie came out, like, again, that furthers has people to be like, yeah, deja vu is just a glitch in the Matrix.
It's a glitch in the
Or it's all like,
Matrix.
you've lived this life. Like, there's many different ways that people talk about deja vu. It's a glitch in the Matrix. Or it's like, you've lived this life before. So this is the part where you remember what you did in a previous life.
I don't think
It's all
it's,
like, what? Or it's an alternate universe that you're living in. Now it's connecting.
Conspiracy
Now your
theorists.
brain is connecting to this other universe of yourself, and it's like, what the hell is happening?
the globalists
So-
are trying to take hold of your mind.
Yeah.
I don't think I think it's also to describe anything that's like weird that's happening, not just
Right.
like it's mostly for deja vu, right? Like
Right.
people claim that deja vu is a glitch, like a glitch in the
Oh, I
Matrix.
thought Deja Vu was a movie with Denzel Washington.
That's true. But like also like people you usually use that term for anything that they see that's really strange or doesn't look
Yeah.
it looks out of place. It's like, look, it's a glitch in the Matrix appears to
Right.
be.
Yeah, and like
so again, more Matrix references even in meme culture
right.
today.
Yeah, 100%. But then they start noticing that, like, okay, it's a glitch in the Matrix, and then all their exits have been closed off because now they've added in a program,
And they
or they edited the programming to where, like, now they can't, like, basically
They mentioned
leave.
that the glitch in the Matrix happens when they change something.
Yeah. So, and then, like, the thing that they changed is, like, they have no exit now.
And the reason that they changed stuff and that the agents found out where they are is because Cypher dropped a phone when they went into the Matrix for the first time to see the Oracle.
Yeah.
And he led them straight to them.
Right.
So
Because that's where, like,
if you're
that's
wondering,
how...
if you're wondering how that happens, like
Yeah,
Cypher.
because, like, that's how the agents are able to, like, trace people is, like, by them using their phones of
Yes.
actually, like, getting in and out of the Matrix. So, and talking to Tank, who is the operator.
operator.
And
foreign concept.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, an operator is a person you would talk to if you didn't know the phone number of the person you were trying to call using a landline.
Yeah.
As operator, how may I help you? Yes, could you connect me to 345 Williams Street, please?
Yeah.
For example. And it's like, one moment, please. I am sticking wires into holes because it is the 90s.
Right.
Well, I mean, operators were slowly dying out back then, but like it was more common in like the 80s when nobody had cell phones. But even the people without cell phones, you still had to use an operator sometimes to even know the phone number of the person you were trying to call.
Yeah. But yeah, continuing on with that is like now they're trying to find a way out. And Mouse dies because he gets shot up by the cops, like the SWAT team and stuff. And without a fight, because he has like these two giant machine guns, and he's a very small guy. It's giant machine guns, and he's just like, and then he gets blasted, and it's all like, what the hell?
The guns are also very iconic in the Matrix films because just like how Terminator popularized certain styles of guns, like you see a lot of really popular types, like the MAC-10 got popularized, the two guns that Mouse uses, and specifically the agents have fucking Desert Eagles.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool. Like, these big, powerful handguns, and they're one-handing it just to show you how freaking strong they are.
Yeah.
And
because, like, even Morpheus tells Neo, like, oh, yeah, these agents are really strong. Like, I've seen one punch through a wall.
Because, of course, they are, because they're computer programs.
Right.
And they can be as strong as they want to be. It's honestly kind of crazy that they're not stronger.
Right.
Right? That their strength is limited.
Yeah.
Because, again, they're just bits of code.
Yeah.
Of their
They're
computer
ones and
simulations.
zeros. Yeah, they're just ones and zeros.
So.
But, yeah, and then they're trying to find a way out, and then Tank just goes like, okay, well, you're going to have to go in between the walls. So then they are in between the walls. And, like, here's the other thing, too, is, like, when they're basically going down the wall and stuff,
Like
and then Morpheus kicks out some, like, dirt, and it hits Cypher, and like, then he starts coughing. I'm like, that... Like, if Neo is able to not breathe in the Matrix because it's not actually air, wouldn't you think that you wouldn't have to sneeze or cough or anything too?
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
But again,
like, because
that Cypher is a little shit because he double crosses them, like, maybe that was
intentional.
His ploy. Right. Maybe it was intentional that he did that.
That's oh man, that's a great theory. That, like, he did it intentionally, like... Because, yeah, you don't have to cough or sneeze because it's all fake.
Right. And especially if you're able to control it.
If your mind knows that it's fake,
right?
Then, like, Cypher knows that it's fake.
Like, you don't get tired. He wouldn't
have gotten tired. He wouldn't have gotten, like, you know, stuff in his nose or stuff like that. So, that's kind of funny that he did do that.
Yeah, because, like... Because
now they're already stuck in the wall. So
yeah, because like there's one of the cops that's like walking around trying to find out where they are, and then he hears Cypher like sneeze, and then he goes like, "They're in the walls."
He puts his ear, like,
and then I instantly thought
he's in the walls.
That's that beam?
He's like, in the goddamn wall.
Yeah, and just starts shooting around.
He's in the walls. He's in the goddamn walls.
And then Neo just instantly pulls out his gun and just starts shooting like
boom, boom, boom,
violently and stuff.
And it's like,
and then
these guys
he doesn't
know
where he's at.
Like, these guys are kind of fucked, honestly.
Yeah,
like
because
the cops have body armor.
Yeah,
they don't.
Because then the cop transforms into Agent Smith.
And
then he basically tries to grab Neo out of the wall. And then Morpheus just like
lunges forward,
out of the wall, and like has Smith down on the ground, and he just goes like, "Get Neo out of here!
Get Neo out of here now!"
And Neo wants to help, and then Trinity's like, "No, we need to get you out of here." And so they fall down, and then just the whole sequence of him and Morpheus fighting one another, like, to me is just like great for like the sound effects, because you have the whipping of them both like hitting each other, but then you also have Morpheus with his grunts and stuff too.
Yeah.
And everything, but primarily Agent Smith gets the upper hand on him, And like just this whole sequence is just like great, for me to emphasize how great it is. And they fight for the first time, and then like they finally meet and stuff, because Smith goes like, Morpheus, we finally meet, and everything. And like Morpheus thinks that he has the upper hand, but really it's Smith that has the upper hand. Because even Morpheus tells Neo like, these agents are really powerful, so just run when you see them.
Run when you see one, yeah.
And versus Neo, he wants to actually fight them and stop them now. And they get out of the Matrix. But before that, the only one that makes it out is Cypher. Because, well,
Cypher splits off from the group.
Cypher basically trips and gets captured. And the rest of them make it out. And next thing you know, Tank gets a call. And it's Cypher, and he goes like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened."
They're
like,
right behind me, I think.
Yeah, it's all like they're like, I was in a truck and it got toppled over and everything was on fire, and next thing I know, it's just boom, and like, you gotta get me out of here. And he goes like, "All right, there's a phone over here. Go to that." And he goes like, "Okay," so he gets out first, and then that was basically his ploy to get out.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are now stuck in the Matrix because Cypher basically kills Tank and his brother, Dozer, and now he gets on the operator phone line, and Trinity is just like, hey, we need to get out of here. And so because the line is just ringing, and then it goes dead as soon as Neo goes to pick it up. He goes like, I don't know, it just went dead all of a sudden. And this was actually pretty awesome of them finding out that Cypher is actually a shithead, because then they're just like, okay, we need to get out of here. And Cypher goes like, I don't really think so, because I'm going to go back into the Matrix, I'm going to have to kill you all. And so Trinity is just like on the phone this whole time. And he goes like, oh, say goodbye to this person. And then it's like, okay, well, say your last goodbyes to this person. And then they both die.
Yeah.
And because like now I'm just drawing a blank on.
And then he goes
their character names.
He goes to kill Neo.
Yeah, because Cypher goes to kill APOC. Was his name? He kills APOC first.
Yeah.
Because then they're starting to realize like, oh fuck, and then he pulls the plug from their head, and then they just drop.
Yeah. And
then it was Switch. Switch was the other one. Switch was
like,
the girl.
Not like this.
Yeah, not like this. And then she just like topples over, and now she's dead. And because it's all like, the thing about it was like, if you die in the Matrix, you die in the real world, because your brain makes it real, and that's why.
Your brain can't, the body can't live without the brain. You suffer brain death basically.
Right.
Like your body's okay, but
your brain makes it seem like that you're actually dead.
Yeah.
So then it shuts everything down.
Right. Then you die anyway. Your body
right.
dies anyway because your brain dies.
Yeah. And then because then Cypher is just telling Trinity like, yep, I'm going to give the agents what they want. I'm going to go back into the Matrix, and I'm just going to live out my life like the rest of the time. And it was at a certain point to where he's telling Trinity that like, Morpheus lied to us, type of thing.
It's like, I'm tired of hearing what Morpheus has to say. Like, it really isn't that better. We can't really make a difference because Neo's not the one.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be like, fuck it. I'm tired of living on this ship and eating this gruel, you know?
Right.
It sucks here in the future. I'm having to hide from these things. Yeah. I just want to go back in the Matrix, honestly, and just live a normal life and eat steak and be rich and, like, what does he want to own? Like, own a hotel or something like that?
No, he wants to be an actor.
He wants to be an actor. That's right. So, like, you know what? I'm gonna go do that, and so I'm about to kill Neo, and then before he kills Neo, Tank is alive. Surprisingly, he's got a big ass hole in his
it's just
a big ass burn in his side, but he kills Cypher. Yeah, but
and then he takes out Trinity out of the Matrix, and then Neo.
He gets him out,
and then now they have to try to devise a plan to actually get Morpheus out of the Matrix. Because, or it's either that they kill him, because they were like, each captain of a ship has these codes that gets them into the Matrix.
It gets them into Zion.
Yeah.
Zion is the last human outpost of free human beings,
and that's what they want.
That the AI has been trying to find,
right?
So they can kill them, so that humans will be slaves forever.
Yeah.
So
and then, so they're about to pull the plug, and Neo just goes like, "Wait, let's go back in there and let's try to save him." And then that's when they go back into it, Trinity and him, and then
they go into the loading software and they get all the guns and stuff like that.
And he just goes like,
they get clad in black and that
iconic.
iconic.
Because Trinity goes like, well, like, what are we gonna do? And he goes like, or no, Tank asks him like, well, what do you need? Because he asks him like, hey, you can load anything into this, right? And he goes like, yeah, like, what do you need? He goes like, guns. Lots of guns.
Guns. Lots of guns.
And then it's just like, whoosh, just like a bunch of guns just lined up to him. And he just goes like, all right. And Trinity goes like, do you honestly think this is going to work? And he goes like, well, we're going to try.
Yeah.
And just the huge last part of this movie is great because of this huge shootout scene that they have. Because like they walk in and he puts the bag in the metal detector, and then he walks through the detector. And then it goes off, and then he goes like,
please
okay.
remove any metal items. And again, this is pre 9/11.
Yeah, and so he just goes like, remove any like metal objects that you forgot to take off, belt, watch, whatever. And then so he just like opens his coat, and it's just like strapped.
He's like
strapped
the guy's
head.
like, oh shit.
Yeah, and then he just like palms him in the chest, and he goes flying, and then just a huge shootout
starts shooting
happens.
the security officers, and like
it's so good.
Okay,
like
this
whole scene is like in slow motion too.
Yes.
So, which just to emphasize how fast that they're actually going during this scene. Oh my god, it's so great.
Kind of a dark tangent, though. This film, as iconic as it is, when it came out, you know who was a big fan of The Matrix, right?
Me?
Do you remember the specifically? I don't know remember what his name is specifically, but the Columbine killer. Said that he watched The Matrix, that scene specifically, and he wanted to replicate it when he was going through the school.
Yeah.
Which is really fucking sad that, like, a movie like this can be, like... I think he also watched The Terminator as well. But, like, he specifically referenced, or, like... They said that his friends, like... He said that he watched this scene a million times to be like, I can replicate this.
Right.
And it's because, like, out of context, it really looks bad.
Right.
Because
I just
like when you rationalize that, oh, like, he's killing like police officers basically.
Right. Uh-huh.
Like any other context, he would be the bad guy in the sense like this would be if this is an opening scene of a movie that he'd be the guy walking in, he'd be killing the police officers and stuff like that. That would look really bad if you didn't have the context of like, oh, these are all computer simulations, it's just fine. Right. Which is a really fucked up thing.
It's a dangerous mindset to have.
It's a dangerous mindset to have. It's like, oh, none of these lives matter because they're just computer simulations anyway, so I can kill them however I wish.
Because,
like, not to downplay this huge scene, but, like, it is, like, with that context, like, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I think, because, like, I had this thought, and like that whole thing is like, okay, that's not funny, but
it's not.
I had this thought because this is the reason why I was laughing was like him trying to run around and like doing cartwheels and shit, trying to shoot people. Like,
yeah,
I think that would have been hilarious as like a concept, but obviously, like, you know, killing just isn't funny. But I had that thought of just being like him doing like cartwheels and shit and like trying to run in slow motion would have been hilarious.
But it goes to show just how powerful that scene was and how
100%
what that it influenced a lot of different people's perceptions of like, oh wow, that like guns are cool. Like you never seen this in an action
everything's
movie before,
like
big shootout,
a computer
like,
simulation anyway,
boom,
so none of this really matters.
No, not necessarily that, but like this is the scene that revolutionized action films in the 21st century, because normally in a move like I hate to go back to like a movie like The Terminator, but like a Terminator is cut to a wide shot. He's walking through, slowly.
Yeah.
People are popping up behind set pieces, and it's all one shot taken from one thing.
Yeah.
But in this time, you have a cinematic, like, zoomed in shot that's like with motion blur and stuff like that. That's like slowly panning, and you get to see stuff going on in the foreground as Neo's dodging bullets and stuff like that. And again, like it is still a little bit like dated, the effects, but
because I do think that it's funny, or no, not funny. I think it's awesome that they shot this in slow motion specifically because like they did it so fast when they actually did it. Like it was super quick.
You have to wonder if they did some of these scenes, like if slow motion was added in afterwards, or they went in the whole time thinking, okay, we're gonna film it normally, but in the effect, it's gonna be shot in slow motion.
Yeah.
Or if you wonder, like if they shot it, went to editing, saw how fast it was, and it's like, this is too fast.
Yeah, let's slow it down.
We have to drag this moment out.
Yeah.
Can we do it in slow motion?
Right.
And it's like, did it like? I don't want to say that Matrix was the first movie to ever use slow motion.
I don't think it was, but it definitely revolutionized it, though.
It certainly feels like it was like I haven't seen slow motion in a movie like this ever before. So like this sets the new standard of how to use a slow motion shot in an action film. And like because it really does feel like the Matrix was the first one to do it this way.
Yeah.
And it's the only way that it's done now.
Right.
In slow motion. Like every time you see slow motion in a film, you think, well, they're only doing it because it works so well in the Matrix, right? Because why else would you do slow motion if not to sort of not to reference it, but sort of like do it the same way the Matrix did.
Yeah.
You know, to establish that longer shot and to like draw it out a little bit longer. But like sometimes the slow motion is too long, you know, in some action films. Where it's like, yeah, I get it. Like you're doing slow motion to like draw out the scene, but like at some point, just hurry up,
right?
You know, in this, it doesn't feel long and drawn out. It feels like the slow motion is very purposeful.
Yeah,
because you want to see everything that they're doing.
Yeah,
because
there's certain scenes where it's all like, okay, we didn't need the slow motion for this, or like there's too much slow motion.
Yeah, it's
and
like
stuff. So, and
sometimes it's like slow motion becomes almost like funny. Like you use slow motion in a lot of comedy films now.
Yeah.
To like, because there's more things to look at. Like, let's put more gags in here while it's in slow motion, and that works fine. But when it's an action film, you have to make it tasteful. Is what I'm trying to say. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to like use it sparingly, or only in parts where you want to have a lot of different things going on in the shot, so you can have the audience has more time to like digest like what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, that's where slow motion really works, I feel like.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to the rest of this.
Yes, sorry. I just want to talk about that scene because it's like just the you know, the crumbling pillars and everything like that, and just that's such a iconic scene.
Yeah. And it's also not specifically referenced in some media, but like there's definitely like hints at that scene too, of going like subtle nods to it. Because of course like the slow motion and everything and whatever, but like we have the shootout in the lobby and everything, and then they go up to the top and then they go to rescue Morbius. I don't know why I keep saying Morbius instead of Morpheus.
I say Orpheus, like
Orpheus?
like from Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Morpheus, Orpheus, Morbius. They go up to the top.
Yep, they go to the top. And they're
fighting guys on the roof.
They go to the roof.
You go to the roof first.
And they fight one of the because then we're also intercut with Smith and the agents talking to Morpheus about like wanting to get the coats. So they injected him with the serum to actually like open up his mind, essentially. It's not like a truth serum, it's more like they're breaking down his mind, essentially. And either he does that or he dies.
Yeah.
There's only two ways about it. And then they're on the roof and they're just kicking everybody's ass on the roof and stuff, and then they have the helicopter. Well, then they fight the agent first.
Yeah, they find the agent first
because it's funny. Because last night me and my wife talked about this, where we were talking about how like Keanu Reeves isn't that great of an actor. And it's like he's very deadpan at times. And it's like when he shoots at the agent and the agent just dodges all the bullets. So I'm like, bullet dodge. And then when he runs out of bullets, he goes like, Trinity, help.
Trinity! Help!
Throws the guns to the side.
Help.
And then it's like, what is she going to do? And then he just shoots at Neo. And then he does the bullet dodge.
Oh my god!
The synonymous bullet dodge.
Like one of the like most parodied, shots
like sequence in film.
Like, to the point where they even parody the bullet effects.
I mean, they even did it in Scary Movie, the first one.
Do you know what else they did it in? They referenced The Matrix in a Fairly Odd Parents movie.
Yeah.
Where it's really shot for shot, like some parts of
just
the Matrix
like it
movie.
was like The Matrix.
Like even that scene where like Timmy Turner is like dodging bullets. It's like it's so good.
Yeah, and then when he's about, because like then he gets clipped a couple times, like he gets grazed, so then he falls to the ground, and then the agent comes up and he's about to shoot him, and then Trinity comes up and just goes like, dodge this, boom, and shoots him and kills him. And then
flat-footed side, boom.
Yeah,
it's so good.
And that's great. And then finally they rescue Morpheus and stuff, but like I told this to my wife that like they got in huge trouble about this scene.
Why?
Because when they finally rescue Morpheus and they drop him down on the top of a building, and Trinity like jumps out of the helicopter and like Neo saves him, like they got into huge trouble because they were like, I think this is what actually happened, was that whole sequence that they actually crashed a helicopter into the building. I could be wrong about that, but I remember something about like that they were only supposed to use like a few blocks or something like that, but then they ended up using a helicopter, and then that went over the board of what they were told to. But they got in trouble because like they didn't film this in the US, like this scene specifically. They filmed it in like Germany or something like that, so they got in trouble with the police and stuff. So which I don't remember, but like now they're on their way to like a subway to go and leave, and then Agent Smith comes in, and because now there's a homeless guy there, and then Agent Smith becomes the homeless guy, and Trinity and Morpheus get out. Neo's the only one that's there, and then they get up to the monitors with Tank, and then they're like, you gotta run. And Neo goes to look at the stairs and then looks back at the agent, and he goes like, no, I'm gonna fight. And that whole sequence is awesome. The huge fight scene at the end, with him and Agent Smith fighting each other and stuff. Because like at first, like they're shooting at each other, and then they both run out of guns. Both run out of bullets, and because like they are shooting at each other, they're both ducking into cover, and then they both jump off of a pillar at each other.
Yeah.
And then like then it's like again slow motion, camera pans around the room with their bullets still going, and like you could see the ripple in the air because of the bullets going around each other. And then like they both land, they both have their guns up to their heads, and they're all like, Agent Smith goes like,
you're blank.
You're blank, and he goes like, so are you. And then then Neo basically like jumps and spins to get to his feet, while Agent Smith just like gets up casually. And then they both fight. But I don't know if you ever saw this edit that somebody made where it's like every 2 seconds it's all like when Neo's getting his ass kicked, right? And then he
Yeah.
goes back for the second round, and now he's getting the upper hand on Smith, where Smith where Neo punches him, but then Smith blocks it, and then he flexes out his fingers to
Yeah.
like get him in the throat. Somebody edited a clip of that where it's just like every 2 seconds he just keeps doing it. It's so funny, and I'll edit in a clip.
I gotta
too.
find some of these
So,
edits that you're talking about because
It's so funny.
that's amazing.
They're fighting and stuff, and then Smith actually gets the upper hand on Neo, and then he hears the train coming, and then he throws him in the middle
Goes
of
on
the
the
tracks.
train tracks, yes.
And then because like to Smith, it doesn't matter if he dies because he's a program, and it doesn't really matter.
He's
that
holding
much.
him on the tracks, like
Yeah, he's got him in a chokehold, and he's like holding him on the tracks.
by Mr. Anderson.
And he's keeps calling him Mr. Anderson and not Neo, or even just his name Thomas, because his name is Thomas Anderson.
Thomas Anderson.
But
Mr. Anderson.
he just goes like, "This is goodbye, Mr. Anderson," and he goes like, "My name is Neo," and like
Neo.
jumps up, hits the top of the roof, falls back down, and then backflips out of the train tracks onto the platform, and then Smith dies. Well, dies. And then the whole chase sequence of him running to the phone because he gets a cell phone, and he's all like,
Operator.
and so like Tank is getting him out,
Trying
and
to
he
get him
just
out.
goes like the huge chase scene of him
When they're shooting at him the whole time, and-
yeah, and like every corner that he goes and there's somebody there's an agent,
Yeah.
and it's all like they're still trying to like get him and stuff. And then they he finally gets into the apartment building to get to the phone, and then he opens the door, and then Smith is just right there and just like puts a bullet in him, and then he just keeps shooting him, and then he like falls. And so Trinity in the real world is talking to Neo, and so she just goes like, "You can't die. The Oracle told me that I would fall in love with somebody,
And that one would be the
and
one.
that person would be the one. And
So that means
I
you can't
love
die
you.
here. I
Yeah,
love you.
It's like, I love you. And then kisses him. And throughout this whole sequence too, they have the Sentinels come.
Yeah, they're taking apart the ship.
Yeah, they're
Or
trying to
they're about
get
take
into.
apart the ship.
Yeah, they're getting inside the ship. So this whole time they've got all this stuff. They got the EMP ready too, so that way
But
as soon as
that's
Neo
why
gets
Neo
out,
has to get out because
Right.
they're about to launch the EMP to destroy the squids in the real world.
Yeah,
But they
And-
can't get out because he'd be trapped.
right.
If
in
they
the
use the
Matrix.
EMP.
Yeah, and so they got it charged and ready, and then he finally like becomes back alive, and then that just turns out that he is the one, and the agents are about to leave, and Smith just unloads bullets at him, and then he just stops them, and I'm like,
Very iconic scene.
that's cool.
Yes.
Like, and again, it's been years since I've actually seen this movie, and I remember everything that happens, but I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so blown away by the effects and everything in this movie. Like, this movie's like over 2 hours long, but it doesn't feel 2 hours long. It feels pretty short because everything happens. Like, all the big stuff that happens, it happens fast, it happens quick. Versus all the small parts when he goes to the Oracle, that kind of drags out. But
Drags
like, you're
out
locked
long,
in.
but, like-
Once you're locked into this movie, that's it.
Yes,
Like,
it's very immersive.
it doesn't feel that long. It feels pretty short.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
he
then,
stops the bullets, and then Smith goes to like hit him and
tries
punch
to
him and
actually
stuff.
punch him and stuff, and then
And he's like
blocking
all of his shots, and then
looks
he
away,
yeah,
but still
and then
blocking the shots.
and so he's just so immersed into it too. Like, he's very confused, but he just goes like, "This feels right."
feels weird.
And then he's like blocking all those shots, and then he like does it with one hand sideways, and like he's still blocking it.
Yeah.
And he's still confused. He goes like, "How am I doing this right now?" And especially where it's like, once he gets up and like they shoot the bullets at him and like he stops them, and then he's just like looking at it, and he just goes like, "Huh," and like they all drop. You see it from his perspective. He sees the code.
He sees the code.
So it's just
And
holy shit.
Before
Oops,
that,
sorry.
as all this is happening, Trinity's like, "What's he doing?" He's like, "He's beginning to believe."
Yeah.
And then finally, Morpheus says, "He is the one."
Yeah,
And then you
because
see
he
the shot of
stops the
him
bullets.
playing, like looking at the code.
Yeah.
He
and
can see the
it's all like,
Matrix.
that's awesome. And then you also have him, like, he kicks Smith away, and like he kicks them all the way towards the agents, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then he like runs and lunges into Smith, and then he just like makes him explode. And one of my biggest things that I loved about that scene was also the fact that like he's flexing, and when he flexes, the hallway also like warps out, and then when he stops, it warps back into normal, but then it also ripples down the hallway too. And I'm like, that's him flexing the Matrix. That is him flexing the code. Who the fuck can do that?
Yeah,
John Wick, that's
even,
who.
Even the agents left are like, oh shit.
They're
they
like
run
looking
away.
at they look at each other and they're like, all
No.
right, let's dip. So then
Agents
they leave.
who are constantly have the humans who are in the Matrix on the back foot.
Yeah.
Finally, after seeing that one of them explode, which by the way, Smith is still screaming.
Oh, yeah.
As he's blasted apart, and
Right.
the part that's screaming grows past the two agents.
Yeah.
Agents dip,
Yeah.
and then he gets out.
Right. And then they finally like launch the EMP after he gets out, and then it is just him on the phone, just like in the beginning when Trinity is talking to Tank, the operator, they're talking amongst themselves in the
Yeah.
Matrix on phone, and now it's Neo who's talking over the phone to basically the machines of going like, oh, you think this is the end? No, I'm here to tell you that this is the beginning.
And it goes
coming
like
after you.
system offline.
Yeah. And then because now it's stopped, it just goes like, I'm here to tell you, you have no control anymore. And then all of a sudden,
I'm gonna wake these people up.
yeah. And then he flies away.
He
and then
flies away!
And then we get the huge thing that I loved at the end of the credits was Rage Against the Machine. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Rage Against the Machine,
So,
yeah.
and
And
it's
like,
such a fitting song too to have for Rage Against the Machine, because it's all like, literally it's just like Rage Against the Machine is of course just like them fighting the government.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, fuck you, I don't do what you tell me, blah blah blah. But no, it's awesome that they use that, because it's like Rage Against the Machine, get it? Because
Yeah,
like they're gonna fight the machines.
And like, I like how Morpheus is like, you can't mess with gravity in the Matrix.
Yeah.
And then he flies off. Like, imagine
Right.
like at the very end of the movie,
'Cause he
you
can
see him-
alter
you
the
see
code
him
at will.
flying off, and the movie
Yeah.
ends like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Right, because now he has control over the Matrix.
Now he control the Matrix.
Now he has control over the code.
Yep.
So, and it's like, that's awesome.
And then it leads into Matrix Revolution or Matrix Reloaded.
I think it's Reloaded.
Reloaded.
So, but
And
yes,
then-
this was the end of The Matrix. It's a
Yes.
pretty long one just because it was a lot to talk about.
To talk about.
So, as well as you ranting about stuff, but that's fine.
I think ranting about stuff is just my charm at this point.
Right. Honestly, if you're not ranting about something in a movie, who are you?
I'm just
I'm just a guy.
giving my opinion. I'm just talking about stuff, man.
Yeah. So
That's what we do here. We talk.
Right. And now is the time where we will give our consensus on the movie, this being a rent, buy, or a skip. Of course, rent is just like, I'll occasionally watch it if it's on, or, you know, like, I haven't seen this in a while, so I'll pick it up again. And then skip is just like, don't even waste your time. And then a buy is just like, I love this movie so much, I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy it on DVD or on Blu-ray or on Steelbook. I'm going to have it up on my shelf to where I can actually look at it. I can pick it out whenever I want, and I'll just pop it in and I'll watch it whenever. I will start with Sam, since I asked him, since he's not here, what his consensus on it was. And he said that it's absolute top tier buy. Revolutionary ideas, new cameras to capture crazy slow motion action, Keanu Reeves with a generational performance. And then he also said that people still talk about the movie as influential years later. That is a top tier movie. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I would also have to say that it's a top tier buy.
Fuck yeah!
Just because of the fact, just like, you know, piggybacking off of what Sam just said and what I reiterated, was that like, it's such a revolutionary movie that it still has people talking about it to this day. And especially where, again, you have conspiracy theories of people talking about like, this is the Matrix, this isn't real, and all that bunch of stuff. And it's all like, when you have a movie that's that influential on the real world application for it, that's how you know that it's a good movie. whether it's real or not is what people will consistently talk about. Like there's numerous books, there's numerous different media that talk about this sort of thing. And as well as the fact that this is just a huge pop culture movie entirely as well, because you have numerous references to this movie, not even just in other like, action movies. For God's sakes, you talked about it that like Shrek made a reference to it. Not once, but numerous times. So it's like that whole thing.
It's so influential.
Like, and also the fact that this shot up Keanu Reeves's popularity when early 2000s, because then he was in everything.
Because
right?
he was in Speed.
Yeah,
too.
he was in Speed, which I don't know if that came out in the 90s. I think it came out in the 90s.
So yeah, maybe before.
I think that,
but like it made people go back to Speed. It's like, oh
right.
yeah, Keanu Reeves is in this.
Right. And like again, that's what also, like, there's tons of references for this movie. And again, guns, lots of guns is just a great line to reiterate to people that it's just like, what do you need for equipment? Just guns, lots of guns. And again, like I mentioned earlier in the show, was that he references it in John Wick. In chapter 3.
Because he knows he can, because he knows he can get away with it.
Right. It's all like, it's great. But, and like, especially like where it's like shows or movies where it's all like, oh, you're the one, like you're the Neo. It's like, that's our new thing of the one is Neo. Like, you are the one, you are Neo from the Matrix. And it's all like, that's just super influential for this movie going forward. So but yeah, I'd say that is my reason for being a buy for sure. So
before I give my consensus, I want to talk about a line that also was in this movie that we kind of skipped over, because like my favorite part of this movie was when Smith is talking to Morpheus, right? And he's giving his reason. Like, this is where it starts to like, not to humanize Smith a little bit, but like my favorite line that is in this exchange of where Smith is interrogating Morpheus is like,
yeah,
we had to reclassify human beings as mammals because your behavior is not like most mammals on this planet. You populate an area, you strip it of its natural resources, and you move on before the resources die out.
Yeah.
There's only one other organism on this planet that is like that. A virus. And that must let us to conclude that human beings are a sickness.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, that hits hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
and then, like, especially when you think about it, you're like, no, that is what we do. We are basically
exactly
a virus on the planet.
And it's like, human beings are destroying this world. And it's like, yes, we are.
And he goes like, do you know why I want to get out of this world? It's the smell.
It's the smell.
Like, you humans secrete this smell that is just sickening to me.
It's festering.
Yeah.
It's like, and you can take off, you see him take off his sunglasses, and you can see the rage in his eyes.
Yeah.
Like there is anger behind.
Yeah, because
his actions.
like
he's not just like he's not like a Terminator.
No,
agents are not Terminators. They're
no.
they're thinking and they're feeling. They're sentient.
Right, and the fact that Smith has both of the other agents leave the room.
Yeah, to talk about this,
to talk about him, where he wants to get out, he wants to leave
because I mean, he's not supposed to because he's an agent, but he wants to do something else.
Right.
So
and then like when they come back in after Trinity and Neo are there and like they're having the huge lobby shootout, they walk back in, and so like he has sunglasses off and his earpiece off, and they're all like, he doesn't know. And he goes like, no, what? And so he puts his earpiece back on, and like he can hear what's happening and stuff. And then he's just like, all right. And then that's when the huge explosion happens.
Because they set off a bomb in the elevator, which also is crazy.
Yeah. And then so
like
then
then
the sprinkler system hits, and he goes like, find them and kill them. And it's just like, yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to get to that part because I really like that line. But this movie is a buy.
Fuck yeah!
If not a buy, it is a super high level rent.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, I bought this movie. When I watched it this time, I bought it because for whatever reason, The Matrix, at the time of recording this podcast, is not available on any streaming services.
No,
this
the last
time.
one is available on Max. I thought that all of the movies were available on Max. They were at a time.
No, they're
Yeah.
not.
No, not anymore. They were at a time.
Only the most recent one.
Which is very strange to me because I'm all like, why is the Matrix movies not on Max when it's owned by Warner Brothers?
Yeah, it is a Warner Brothers property, so it's like
that's why they have the last one. Like,
down with Warner Brothers. All right,
honestly,
they fell off. You fell off, bro.
I'm just tired.
So
of
yeah,
Warner
this
Brothers.
movie is a buy. It is a quintessential action film. This is the blueprint for a fantastic action film, right? You could say that same thing for the Terminator, but the Terminator is more of like a thriller film, like a monster movie almost, that happens to have sci-fi elements. This is a sci-fi action film that is the predecessor for many of different types of films that involve dystopian future and as well as action sequences and slow motion and gunplay.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that even Alan Silvestri is the one I'm talking about. He directed the John Wick films?
No, Chad Stahelski.
Who am I thinking of? Alan Silvestri.
I don't know.
I don't know who.
I know.
I just made up a
I
random
don't
name.
remember specifically like what he's done, but that name.
No, I'm
is
talking
familiar,
about the director of the John Wick films. Clearly,
yeah, Chad Stahelski.
The reason he got Keanu Reeves is because of his work on The Matrix. It's just like
he was Keanu's stunt double.
Exactly. So,
so he knew how to direct Keanu to do John Wick and like the hand-to-hand combat and all that stuff. So
it all
bleeds
into a lot of still problems that are prevalent today. So, like, you'll watch The Matrix today and you'll be like, wow, this is still relevant. The metaphors and the
AI,
the message that The Matrix sends about reality and our place in it. It really hits hard, especially today when in this technology infested world that we live in right now. But definitely buy this film. I can't say the same thing about the rest of the movies. At least, at the very least, watch the first one.
The first one is the pioneer. The other ones just fall off.
Yeah. So.
And I'm trying to pick out one. So now is the point of the show where we will talk about when a 10-star or both star review on IMDb and actually have an open up discussion about it. Since basically all three of us considered it as a buy, I would just talk about a 1-star review.
Yeah.
Because usually if it's a rent, I'll go like 2 of them, but like since this is a
pretty
a buy,
consensual, like,
yeah. So this one I have up. It says that it's all effects. Now this came out in 2000, so I don't know if it's a more recent one or they just had it as 2000. I have no idea. But
effects. Let's take a look.
They said somewhere along the line, someone planning this film forgot to put it in a plot. It's worse than Twister in that respect.
Worse than Twister?
Right. Oh, look at all our fancy camera tricks and weapons and weird sci-fi stuff that really make no sense. But it's loud, and that makes a good film, you know? And I would love just once in my life to see Keanu Reeves not play a blank-faced doofus in every movie he's made since Bill and Ted. In short, I absolutely and totally hated this film. My fiance loves it and watches it at least once a month. That's a lot. That's 12 times a year.
12 times a year.
But I would rather clean out a cat box every hour for the rest of my life than ever see this film again. Well, I know who to invite to clean my cat boxes.
Honestly, kind of well thought out a little bit. It's
not really specifically.
Yeah, but it's not just rambling incoherency. Because this guy I'm sure he would love to see John Wick. I'm sure if he
I would love to actually get there
20 years later, 20
their username does have Rachel in it, so I'd assume that's female wrote this, but I mean, it's not really a girl movie, so I understand that. But like, even my wife loves this movie because of the nostalgic factor for it, because it was her dad's movie. But it's her dad's favorite movie, though, more specific. So, but
Keanu
like,
Reeves is a blanked face doofus.
yeah, I'm just like, what? Like, understandably,
Sad Keanu.
his
Sad Keanu.
his acting isn't that great, but it's probably better than what you could do. Just saying.
I have to say
But-
that, like, I agree with that like, Keanu doesn't really steal the show in terms of, like, his
He's not the wow
dialogue,
factor.
right? It's certainly Morpheus that is the focal point of, like, the
Right.
the dialogue and, like, the speaking role, because he has a very... Lawrence Fishburne has an amazing speaking voice.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's like James Earl Jones in that sense. Very deep,
Yeah.
very resonant.
Right.
To the point where, like, you're so invested into everything that he has to say,
Yeah.
and that, like, you're glad that he is a contrast to how Neo is soft spoken, doesn't say a whole lot, is more there as the, like, the blank slate
Right.
sort of character, and, like, it works well in that sense to be able to surround himself with other characters that know more than he does.
Yeah.
Because, which, again, kind of is the reason why I think may potentially some of the other Matrix films fall off, because Neo is now no longer this, like, character of, like, I don't know what's going on, I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
And now that he took one film to master the Matrix.
Right.
So that's where it, like, is, like, I'd say is the only flaw. It's not a perfect film,
Yeah.
right? It's not like 10 out of 10 amazing, there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
There's still, like, again, Keanu's acting is a valid criticism.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, like, but all the effects and stuff is like, man, wouldn't you hate to watch a movie that was only effects and nothing else?
Right.
But, like,
now.
there is a plot there. It is a little bit incoherent sometimes. Well, not it does get confusing at times, but that's only because you're going in between, like just the earth-shattering reality, like, truth that reality is fake.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, grapple with a bunch of these sci-fi themes. But, like, the themes of we need to better ourselves as society and move forward instead of staying in one place for the rest of our lives. And also beware the dangers of overuse of technology, especially when it comes to, even now, like, virtual reality and stuff like that. I know people who are kind of getting sucked into that.
Yeah.
Or I've known people in the past who buy a VR headset and spend all their day on VR chat.
Yeah.
You know, guys like that. You know, or people, I should say, people who are like that, who probably go outside sometimes.
Right.
Nothing against people who play VR chat, like, once in a while, but, like, if you're getting off work and then you immediately strap on your VR headset and spend the rest of your night or your day in VR, you might want to watch this film.
Yeah.
And say, might want to take the red pill, so to speak, even though that's a terrible phrase.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is a joke, by the way, but
Yeah.
I'm there. Here I go ranting again, but you know what I mean. But all this to say that, like, that wasn't the worst one that we've seen. Like, there's been some really bad ones, the really bad 1-star reviews
Madam
that we've
Web.
seen. I did not see that one.
Yeah. But no, I would probably say that, like, I don't agree with them that, like, this is the worst movie ever. And it's like, yeah, I can understand with, like, Keanu Reeves' like deadpan and stuff like that. Like, that to me makes sense. But also at the same time, it's all like, this revolutionized movies, like, with its camera work, the slow motion effects, and the storytelling. Like, that's what's changed.
We have the
in
benefit
movies.
of hindsight on our hands,
Right.
when talking about this film, because it's 26 years old. But the when it came out is I know I keep bringing this up. I'm being a dead horse here, but, like, to be there when people first start talking about this film, and it would go on to span years of film theory and talking about, like, talking about the themes of this film, and it's like having it permeate through popular culture
Yeah.
to up till today, to where we, like, you probably referenced The Matrix without even knowing it.
Oh yeah.
Right? But, like, you've probably talked about some actors of The Matrix that other people have said, and now you reference it without even knowing where it comes from, but it's ultimately come from this film.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful in that sense.
Yeah.
It's amazing, to be honest.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it here.
Yes. This has been going on for quite a while.
Yes.
And
So
wake up from the simulation.
but yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. Be sure to leave a like for this episode, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're both on YouTube and on Spotify, so you guys can check us out there. And leave a comment in the comment section below about what movie you guys want us to talk about. Like I said, Cordell wanted us to talk about The Matrix, so here we are talking about The Matrix. So who knows? You might get a movie in that you want us to talk about. So, which would really appreciate. Be sure to also share this with other people as well. Really appreciate people sharing it and stuff like that. Like, it really means a lot to us. And then we got some stuff in the works coming soon. So definitely this summer is going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm all excited about the stuff that we got planning coming up. Well, I can tell you what we're going to do next week. We're going to talk about Super Troopers, because it'll be 420 on Easter. So that'll come out around 420.
That's crazy.
So, but yeah, so get ready for that. And then with that being said, we'll see you guys next week. So,
Free your mind.